U.S. President Donald Trump says South Korea should pay more of the cost of stationing U.S. troops here in the country, and what is seen as a strategic comment to tie defense cost sharing to broader tariff issues. Trump also threatened to slap more tariffs on copper, pharmaceuticals, and semiconductors. It was another scorching hot day here in the nation, with feels-like temperatures reaching as high as 37 degrees Celsius in Seoul. Over 200 people were reported to have heat-related illnesses just on Wednesday alone. K-content is sweeping global charts. 7 songs from the soundtrack for the animated film KPop Demon Hunters have entered the Billboard Hot 100 singles chart. And meanwhile, Squid Game Season 3 has maintained its #1 spot on Netflix across 93 countries for a second consecutive week. U.S. President Donald Trump has picked on South Korea yet again over its contributions to keep U.S. soldiers here in the country, saying Seoul should pay more. And what is seen as his strategic move to get an upper hand in both defense and tariff negotiations. Our An Sung-jin leads us tonight.
U.S. President Donald Trump is pushing for a one-stop shopping deal with South Korea on defense and trade. At the White House on Tuesday, Trump stated that its Asian ally was underpaying for military protection. He reiterated his hardline stance that Seoul should increase its contributions to U.S. defense costs, referring back to negotiations during his first term, where he claimed he demanded that Seoul should pay $10 billion a year in defense cost sharing, a figure far above current levels.
You know, we have 45,000 soldiers in South Korea, and you know, that's a huge economic development for them. That's tremendous amount. That's like having a city. That's tremendous money for them, and it's a tremendous loss for us. So,
unlike Trump's assertion, there are currently around 28,000 U.S. military troops in Korea. And regarding Trump's remarks, the South Korean government said that it will comply with the existing defense cost-sharing agreement between the two countries. The Foreign Ministry on Wednesday stated that the existing 12th Special Measures Agreement contributes to a joint defense position, and added that it is inappropriate to react to every single remark made by a foreign leader. As Trump's remarks continue to stir debate on the alliance between the two countries, an expert says Korea should show flexibility and try to negotiate with the people in charge from various stakeholder ministries.
It's not really clear to me that Donald Trump fully appreciates, for example, the American Alliance Network, right? He sort of attacks U.S. allies on a fairly regular basis. So I would encourage South Korea to go slow a little bit and see if they can sort of move the debate away from the executive level.
South Korea's defense cost-sharing issue and the need to preserve its security alliance with the U.S. adds to the complexity of the high-stakes negotiations. An Sung-jin, Arirang News.
So countries, including South Korea, have a little more than 3 weeks to reach tariff deals with the U.S. Now, the Trump administration is seeking to dump more tariffs on items like copper and pharmaceuticals. Our Park Junan has the details.
On Tuesday, U.S. President Donald Trump announced a plan to impose a 50% tariff on copper imports, prompting markets to push copper prices to a record high.
we did steel, as you know, they're 50%. We did aluminum, 50%. Lumber just came out.
And that's copper.
And we did cars. And now, today we're doing copper. I believe the tariff on copper, we're going to make it 50%.
50%.
After Trump's announcement, copper prices jumped to a record high, ending their trading day up 13.12%, the largest one-day gain since 1989, at approximately $5.69 per pound. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, the U.S. imports about 50% of the refined copper it uses each year. Over 90% of copper imports, roughly 1 million tons, come from Chile, Canada, and Peru. While the Trump administration aims to revive domestic copper production, the new tariffs are likely to raise costs for American manufacturers. On the same day, Trump hinted at tariffs of up to 200% on pharmaceuticals, along with possible duties on semiconductors that could take effect by late July. A market analyst noted that while the market currently views the impact as limited, it could come under pressure if the proposed chip tariffs exceed expectations.
The impact of the tariffs has not yet been significant, as South Korea has already built, or is in the process of building, semiconductor factories in the U.S., and the specific tariff rate has yet to be announced. However, if a high rate is imposed, it will inevitably affect the Korean semiconductor industry and the stock market.
Trump's sector-specific tariff plan, based on Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act, which allows the president to restrict imports that threaten national security, came a day after he sent tariff letters to 14 trading partners, including South Korea, outlining new tariff rates effective August 1st. Trump is set to send letters to 15 to 20 more countries in the coming days. 박준환, Arirang News.
6 North Koreans rescued earlier this year in South Korean waters were safely repatriated today. Now, Seoul's Unification Ministry confirmed their voluntary return to the north. Our correspondent Kim Jung-sil has more.
These rare photos show 6 North Korean fishermen making their journey home. Despite their small size, these photos show the end of a months-long journey after the fishermen were rescued from South Korean waters. For their return, the group traveled together in a single wooden boat in the East Sea, and at 8:56 a.m., they crossed the northern limit line. By 9:24 a.m., a North Korean vessel made contact with the boat, and both vessels began their journey back to the north. The 6 fishermen in their 30s and 40s were stranded in boats that drifted into the East and West Seas in March and May. Since direct communication between the two Koreas were severed in 2023, Seoul coordinated through the UNC to convey its message about the fishermen's return. While North Korea did not confirm directly, its actions spoke louder.
At the handover, a North Korean patrol boat was stationed at the designated point, and the vessel returned under its own power, completing the repatriation smoothly and safely.
The Ministry of Unification verified their voluntary wish to return with consent confirmed. Experts say Wednesday's repatriation reflects North Korea's ongoing attention to South Korea.
North Korea's response shows they're watching South Korea's peace efforts, and if the new government remains sincere, a positive response from the North may not be far off.
This isn't the first repatriation of its kind. Similar cases took place in 2017 when fishermen also expressed a strong desire to return to the north. Despite delays, officials emphasized that Wednesday's decision was driven by humanitarian concerns and respect for the individual's wishes. A ministry official expressed hope that better communication between the South and North could lead to smoother future repatriations. Kim Jung-sil, Arirang News.
President Lee Jae-myung has promoted from within when choosing his vice ministers for the Office for Government Policy Coordination. Presidential spokesperson Kang Yu-jung told reporters on Wednesday that Kim Young-soo, currently heading the Planning and Coordination Office, has been appointed first vice minister. Kang described Kim as having strong expertise in policy planning, coordination, and evaluation. Kim Young-soo, who leads the Economic Policy Coordination Division, will serve as second vice minister. He's expected to play a key role in supporting the government's growth strategy by promoting regulatory reform and development in AI, biotech, and semiconductors. The Office for Government Policy Coordination acts as a control tower for policies that involve several ministries. Since President Lee Jae-myung's inauguration, the government has been making strong messages to warn anyone trying to cheat in the stock market. And today, authorities announced specific measures with a new task force. Our Kim Do-yeon explains.
No second chances. That's the message from Korea's financial watchdogs on unfair trading, illegal short selling, and false disclosures. On Wednesday, the Financial Services Commission, the Financial Supervisory Service, and the Korea Exchange unveiled measures to fight market abuses, launching a joint task force to track and investigate violations.
Accounts linked to illegal gains will be frozen during investigations. Fines of up to twice the profits will be imposed, along with restrictions on trading and executive appointments. Through these measures, we aim to ensure that stock manipulators are immediately expelled from the capital market under a strict one-strikeout policy.
When the Joint Task Force begins operations later this month, officials from the three entities will work in the same office and make sure investigations are finished within 6 months. This is in line of the new administration's agenda, as President Lee Jae-myung early last month chose the Korea Exchange for his first public event since inauguration and emphasized a fair stock market.
대한민국 주식시장에서 장난을 치다가는 패가 망신한다. 라는 걸 확실하게 보여주는 오늘 첫날로 삼도록 하겠습니다.
Under this tougher stance, HYBE chairman and BTS creator Bang Si-hyuk could become the first high-profile case. The Securities and Futures Commission is set to refer him to prosecutors for alleged fraudulent transactions under the Capital Markets Act. He is accused of telling early investors in HYBE that he had no plans to go public and leading them to sell their shares at low prices to private equity funds set up by his acquaintances. A year later, the company did go public, and Bang allegedly shared the proceeds from the later stock sales, taking around 200 billion won, or around $150 million. Financial authorities have reportedly secured evidence that Bang was preparing for an IPO while telling the early investors otherwise. Separately, the Seoul Metropolitan Police Agency's Financial Crimes Unit, which has been conducting its own investigation, is also expected to hand over the case to prosecutors soon. To this, HYBE explained that the IPO process was done according to the law and that it has been cooperating with the authorities to confirm the facts. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
Scorching heat continues to grip South Korea, with the temperature soaring well above 35 degrees Celsius nationwide. And more than 200 people suffered from heat-related illnesses just today. That's an unprecedented number compared to previous years. Our Park Hyo-bin reports.
Another sweltering day swept South Korea. In Paju City, Gyeonggi-do Province, the mercury hit over 39 degrees Celsius, and Seoul wasn't far behind at 36 degrees. It was just as hot as Tuesday, which marked the hottest July day in 118 years.
Actually, it's today is done better than yesterday, actually, but still so warm, actually, because I'm just like sweating a lot. So, yeah, it's so hot.
It's really hot.
Really humid. Hot and humid.
It's kind of hard to do anything outside.
People are trying to cool off the heat at places like this stream. It was already 35 degrees at 5 p.m. in Seoul, and the heat is expected to continue overnight. That means another tropical night, Seoul's 11th time in a row.
The Korea Meteorological Administration has issued heat wave warnings for most regions, including Seoul. These alerts are issued when the feels-like temperature is expected to remain above 35 degrees for more than 2 days. The extreme temperatures are taking a toll on lives. As of 4 p.m. Wednesday, 8 people have died from heat-related causes this summer. Over 1,200 heat illness cases have been reported so far, more than double the number from the same period last year. More than 200 people were affected just today, a sharp increase compared to the previous years. In response, the Seoul Metropolitan Government held an emergency meeting on Tuesday morning to discuss countermeasures. Officials are stepping up real-time monitoring and prioritizing protection for vulnerable groups, including the elderly, outdoor workers, and farmers. They're also urging people to stay indoors between noon and 5 p.m., stay hydrated, and seek help immediately if they experience dizziness or headaches, which are common signs of heat-related illnesses. Meanwhile, a bit of relief is also expected, with some rain in the forecast for parts of the country later today. Park Hyo-bin, Arirang News.
Over in Europe, as the Korea season aimed at promoting Korean culture is taking place in Spain, the country will host a vibrant lineup of K-content events throughout the year. Our Choi Soo-young reports from Spain on the current and future state of Korean soft power.
Wearing a virtual reality headset, a participant swings her arms freely, learning a martial art from the Joseon dynasty.
I think it's very beautiful to know how is the Korean culture, the temples, all. And it's funny. It's very fun. The second thing I did. And I think people we live in Spain, it's a very good form to learn.
Suwon Hwasong, one of Korea's most iconic cultural heritage sites in Gyeonggi-do province, comes vividly alive right before your eyes.
I think that it was quite similar to reality because it showed like the colors spaced in a very realistic way. Also the explanation and the small details like the ceilings with those color combinations and the small animals walking through, it was really cute.
At the Korean Cultural Center in Madrid, Korea's traditional culture has been fully digitized through a comprehensive database process, allowing visitors to experience it in digital format without even setting foot in Korea. In other sites in the venue, unique reinterpretations of the Joseon dynasty's white porcelain are on display, all created using malchong or horsehair. Chung Da-hae became the first Korean artist to win the prestigious Loewe Craft Prize, a leading award in Spain's contemporary craft scene.
This work, it merged the tradition and the innovation. It's very important for Spain also to receive a work like this, very natural, and Loewe Foundation. They are very happy to receive this kind of artists. So they selected in 2022.
Right now, Spain is completely immersed in Korean culture. Since 2022, South Korea's Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism has selected one country each year with a strong potential to spread Korean culture, offering a year-long series of culture programs. This year's Korea season takes place in Spain. In particular, the Korean Cultural Center here is set to host around 60 events throughout the year.
The center is carrying out this year's Korea season under the key theme of expansion. Beyond just popular areas like K-pop, we are working to highlight all things across K-culture, from fine arts and exhibitions to literature, webtoons, fashion, and beauty.
Moreover, after Han Gang's Nobel win last year, Korean literature is gaining a lot of interest in Spain. That's why, in the second half of the year, Korean literature events will take center stage.
October has been designated as Literature Month, and we're promoting Korean literature as a focus country at Madrid's Liber International Book Fair. At the same time, we'll be the guest of honor at Barcelona's Cosmopolis International Festival of Literature.
Through the end of this year, a dynamic cultural journey will unfold across Spain, connecting the richness of Korean culture with the world. Choi Soo-young, Arirang News, Madrid.
Netflix's animated film K-pop Demon Hunters has become a global hit, and its soundtrack is gaining popularity too. Also, Rosie from Blackpink has 2 duet tracks on the chart, highlighting the growing global popularity of Korean culture. Our Shin Ha-young tells us more.
K-culture is gaining more global recognition. Several songs from the soundtrack for Netflix's animated film K-pop Demon Hunters have entered the Billboard Hot 100 this week, boosted by the global popularity of the US-produced movie centered on Korean pop music. According to the latest chart released on Tuesday, 7 songs from the soundtrack entered the chart, with Golden ranking the highest at number 23, jumping 58 spots in just 1 week after debuting at number 81. The track Your Idol also rose 46 spots to number 31, staying on the chart for a second consecutive week. The film's soundtrack also climbed to number 3 on the Billboard 200 albums chart, up from number 8 last week. K-pop Demon Hunters showcases various elements of Korean culture, including its folklore as well as traditional props. Elsewhere on the Hot 100, Rosé has 2 duet songs on the charts. APT entered week 37 on the Billboard Hot 100 at number 27. Released in a collaboration with American pop star Bruno Mars, APT went viral for its addictive hook and its clever nod to a popular Korean drinking game. Her new song, On My Mind, a new collaboration with American singer-songwriter Alex Warren, entered the chart ranking at 60. Meanwhile, K-drama sensation Squid Game Season 3 has made Netflix history. According to Netflix's Top 10 website on Wednesday, for the second straight week, the final season ranked first among non-English shows in all 93 countries where the chart is tracked. This is the first time any Netflix series has held the top spot in every tracked country for 2 consecutive weeks, setting a new record. All 3 seasons of Squid Game currently occupy the top 3 spots on Netflix's list of most popular non-English shows of all time. 신하영, Arirang News.
South Korea has been inviting young para-athletes from abroad in the second half of the year for over a decade, offering training in sports where the country has a particular strength. Our Park Kwon-woo has this story.
Running at full speed without falling, drenched in sweat but still smiling. 16-year-old John, who has dwarfism, dreams of one day competing on the Olympic stage, representing his country as a badminton player. He's been training hard, already around a decade since he first picked up the racket. Nothing stops him from pushing limits. Instead, he's eager to keep improving.
I want a new experience for me. Korea is more advanced in training, and they giving knowledge for all players. They have so much respect for others. I like that.
John is one of around 60 participants from 16 different countries who came to Korea this summer to take part in the annual International Parasports Youth Camp in Icheon, Gyeonggi-do Province. And determination was shown across the court, where shuttlecocks flew rapidly, with players, some in wheelchairs, moving back and forth with precision and speed. This year's program not only features badminton, but also powerlifting and archery, offering young athletes with disabilities the opportunity to train and dream big.
This barbell feels very heavy to me, but for them, it seems like it's almost no big deal. It's not the body that holds them back, but it's the strength inside that drives them forward.
At the weightlifting gym, effort and spirit echoed with every lift. Some may not be able to use all parts of their body, but that hasn't stopped them from lifting bars and chasing their goals.
I want to go to the Paralympics and be a champion so I can earn money and make my parents proud. So I need to stay disciplined and train consistently, especially here where the facility is good.
Even when facing physical barriers, these young lifters stayed focused and consistent. Korean archery powerhouse is also sharing its expertise with these future champions. Coaches are helping the participants to adjust their posture and techniques.
Just like everyone's bone structure is different, each person's disability and range of movement also varies. So we teach them based on each athlete's condition and strength. Even for complete beginners, we structure training step by step and make sure it's fun and sustainable.
In the end, what matters isn't the physical ability, but the will. And with that in mind, these young athletes continue to run, lift, and aim toward their dreams. Park Kwon-woo, Arirang News, Icheon.
It is still early July, but the heat wave is fierce in the western parts of the country. It soared to 38 degrees Celsius during the day in Gwangmyeong, but along the east coast, affected by the easterly wind, there was a short break from the heat, staying at 29 degrees in Gangneung today. Steaming heat around the west will continue for the time being. Under clear skies, the UV rays will rise to very high levels from the morning. Please refrain from outdoor activities between 10 in the morning and 3 in the afternoon to avoid any heat-related illnesses. Tomorrow morning, Seoul, Daejeon, Gwangju, and Jeju will start at 25 degrees. Gyeongju, 22 degrees. Daily highs will move up to 35 degrees in Seoul and Gwangju, 30 degrees in Gyeongju and Jeju. As the heat remains, even at night, tropical nights will continue across the country. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world.
That is all we have for tonight. I'm Kim Dami. For all of us here at Arirang, thanks for watching and good night.